Yeah, welcome back to the House of Fire. Yeah, we're still going to carry on our, I call it England story. Or if you want English story, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it my England story. Because don't forget, I'm living in England for 40 years, you know what I mean? 40 years is a long time. You get a lot of, what they call experience. I would rather call it experience, something that you experience within. Yeah, so I have 40 years worth of, let's call it what they call it, experience then. And I can't remember the whole 40 years, and I don't think, I can't even recall most of what happened in Jamaica, you know what I mean? Never mind to come and recall everything. I'm just trying to recall the good things of England, if you want to call it that way, as I see it. Everywhere have a positive and negative, and so does. So you find it in England. So I've already explained in the first part about my my two friends, Jimmy and Mitch. Those two gentlemen there who helped put up the roof and the walls, and I would say everything of the house apart from the furniture. Because they was only 15, so they couldn't teach me anymore. But what they teach me was enough anyway, about generosity and honesty and friendship. Everything was wrapped up into there that was given to me by those two men who was Englishmen. You understand what I mean? I'm talking here about Englishmen now. And then I never explained this lady in the first part of my English experience. This lady now is my landlady. Now, after I first get kicked out of home, and I was asleep rough for about a week, I reckon. And then I find digs. But I found digs with some Nigerian people. Yeah. And at that time I was an apprentice wage. I'm talking 1972, is it? Or 74? Between 73 and 74. I was on an apprentice wage. You know what I mean? Because I was at that time I had an apprenticeship to be a welder. Although I never succeeded in the end because I had to go to college and I couldn't read drawings. Well, but at that time then, after finding digs, I find digs with some Nigerians. And I was getting £9 a week. And the rent was £8 a week for bed and breakfast. And there was 4 people in the one room. Yeah, there was 4 of us in one room, and they was charging us £8 a week. Imagine what £8 was in 1973. A lot of money. And them African must be millionaires by now. You know what I mean? They was making, when you think about it after, so much. And it was for bed and breakfast. And there was another Jamaican girl. It turned out to be my friend's sister. I never knew this at the time, but she was the only Jamaican in the house. So when I used to come from work in the afternoon time, and she would prepare whatever it is, meal she was preparing, you know what I mean? Well, me being a Jamaican, not used to this type of cooking. Although I'm a ragamuffin soldier, when you have to eat, you have to eat, You understand? She makes some mash and whatever it was she was making. But I would say to this Jamaican girl, in our language, like, say, what's the ras this she cooking? In English, it would probably mean, what the fuck she cooking here, So anyway, I was doing this for, every evening, and I think she went away and find out what this ras mean, this Jamaican swearing that I was using to the other girl. And somebody explained to her that it mean Nigerian dirty. Obviously it don't mean that, but whoever she went and asked, that's what the explanation they give her. So when I come home from work this afternoon and say, what a blood clot did she cook today? In English would be equivalent to, what's the bloody hell is this she's prepared? She went crazy. she shouted at me. She says, Nigerian is not dirty. And she just packed up all my clothes there and then, and she put me outside the house and spitting, telling me that Nigerian is not dirty. You know what I mean? But by then, I get familiar with the area where I was, because I reckon I was living with her for about 2-3 months. So by then, I get to know a black man in that area. So I went and tell him that, oh, listen, I'm nowhere to stay now. I'm out with my suitcase. And he knew a lady who was renting a room. This lady was called Sue, a little white lady, And you remember I tell you I was paying these African here from Nigeria, right? £8 a week for bed and breakfast. And I didn't tell you have to be in by 10:30, you had to lock the door if you're not in by 10:30. As if you was some, and them times I don't know, how old was I? Maybe 17 and a half, going on, I don't remember. But you still shouldn't be paying £8 a week for bed and breakfast and having your doors locked at 10:30. You know what I mean? But that was their system. And I had to abide by the system because, there was nothing else. Until she threw me out. And then my friend get me now digs with Sue. And this was, sometimes when people learn your lessons, you don't know that they're learning the lesson, This is how learning goes. That's why I say God must be a mad scientist. It's like my 2 friends, Jimmy. When they was teaching me, I wasn't aware they was teaching me. And they probably wasn't aware either. They probably don't even know that they teach me this teaching that I'm telling you about. Because they never knew they was doing it. I never knew they was doing it. But it was being done. Same thing with Sue. I'm sure she wasn't thinking, oh, I'm teaching him something. And I wasn't thinking she was teaching me anything. But it just worked out that kind of a way. You know what I mean? I call it the mysteries of life, as it was. So anyway, I got a room with Sue. And the room was for £3.50 a week. Imagine that. You see how much I was saving. Yeah? And I could come in any time. And I had the use of her kitchen and all that, you know what I mean? So, it was a lovely time living with Sue. I tell you, I'll give you an example. And when I say Sue, she wasn't a young girl. She could have been a grandby them time when I'm talking about. Nice old lady. But she always do her little work somewhere. I don't know where she was cleaning. And her husband had died by this time. And I was doing my little apprenticeship. And by this time I'd gone into a little bit of gambling as well, So sometimes the place that I work, you get paid about 2 o'clock. You go and you collect your wage. They used to pay you in wage. You get your wage packet and you collect it. Well, I had learned from these fellas in the factory about gambling and by that time I'd got hooked myself anyway. You know what I mean? So, and people used to cover for each other while we sneak out and gamble. And sometimes I've lost my wage before I leave work. You know what I mean? And I have no money to pay the rent. And I'm not talking about on one occasion. I remember losing my wage on Weights Week as well. And then I had to explain to Sue that my landlady, and them times say landlady, but she's them. I had to go and explain to her that I could not pay me my rent because I've lost my money. And I don't know what excuse I make up to her if I did tell her the truth or if I said I lose my wage packet. I can't remember. I probably tell her the truth. I don't remember. Can't honestly say. But for whatever the reason, I would explain to her that there was no money. But what she would do is lend me money. Yeah, she would actually lend me a £20 to cover me for the 2 weeks. Or if it was a tenner for the 1 week. You know what I mean? And then I would pay her back slowly over my wage, and we live like that. So you see what I mean? I never really appreciate those kind of things until years after. But that was part of the teaching then of generosity, as I would call it in England. Because you know me, I over the years, like I say, I haven't got no skill. I never learned any skill in England, any trade. I tried to, but because of my lack of not being able to read plans, everything is done in plans in England. If you can't read plans, you can't be a tradesman then. That's the way. So I haven't learned any of those things. What I have learned is things like, thank you very much, love. Yes, please. Bye, love. Those kind of things. I like those kind of things. So I learn a lot of that from English people. It's what I call manners. Yeah, because you don't. An example of the way of the English. I don't know about the rich people because I never live with them. I'm just saying about what we would call in England run of the mill. Run of the mill people, your common people. Now even these, well, I learn everything I learn of them anyway. Now let's say they get on a bus. And the bus is a single decker bus, or even a double decker, it doesn't matter to them. And the bus is full. And everyone is seated on the bus, yeah? And the bus pull up at the next stop, and let's say there was two elderly women or men, doesn't matter, but there was elderly. The minute they get on the bus, those who are sitting in these two seats here now don't even have to be asked to get up. They will just get up and move back. I love those kind of things now. It's not like I say in Jamaica, when I was young, and you go to the shop, for instance. If you are the smallest, and there was a few people in the shop, even if you was the second or third, you never get served as according to your position then. But that wouldn't happen in England, because in England everybody wait the turn. So even if the man is bigger than the little youth, he will observe the rules of waiting in line. So I kind of like those kind of things. I learn those kind of things. They don't cost anything to learn. But then again, because I don't have no money, you know what I mean? So I can't afford to buy anything bigger to have, because I've never had anything big in England or own anything. I've just kind of like the manners of England, and if you want to call it, this stupid comedy and those kind of things. Because I tell you, the English will make a joke out of everything and anything. And I kind of like that, you know what I mean? I like their sarcastic humor, as it was. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of qualities, I would say, that I admire in England. You know what I mean? I'm not saying at the same time, there's not negativity in England. Sure, people call people black bastard, niggers, and all these disgusting. In fact, the last time I was called a black bastard wasn't even by an Englishman. Coming from work, and some Asian driving in the car, and they wind the window down and call me a black bastard. So there you go. But that is just I'm not really concentrating on the negative behavior of people in England, because it doesn't matter how negative a man was to me in England anyway. Like I tell you, my two friends and people like Sue already show me the generosity of what it is to be English. And like I tell you before, they have high qualities in England. The people might not live up to it, but there is English people who live up to it. Like I say, an Englishman word is his honor. You know what I mean? So that means when he gives you his word, which Jimmy and Mitch demonstrate this to me perfectly well, they stick by their word. A man would rather die than go against his honor. You know what I mean? So that is the spirit of England. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that everybody, like I say, is observing. It's just like anywhere else. You know what I mean? But I'm on about what the spirit is. So I'm here to learn about the, like I say, the spirit of England. And like I repeat before, I say, honesty is the best of policy. I don't know if they coin it in England, but it's an English term anyway. And this is the headquarters of what they call the English. So I would reckon honesty is the best of policy. Must have been part of the English psyche, because it goes well with a man word is his honor. You know what I mean? And truthfully, yes, there is an honorable side to England. I don't think you will find this honorable side where the toughs are, I reckon. That's what they call them, the toughs. You know, but down here in the nitty-gritty of English society, I say, just getting on buses and meeting shopkeepers and, you know, these people, those normal people. There I think you can discover the true English spirit. You know what I mean? Take, when I say the true English spirit, you have to go back to a time or imagine when we was boys then. Cricket was our first love. And cricket is a great love of England. You know, we used to read about that before we come here. But back in the days now, when I used to hear about cricket, I understand the laws of it then. I don't understand the whole laws of it, but the principle of the game, cricket now, is that when in those days, when the Englishman now was living up to this principle that I'm telling you about, when you are playing cricket, as an example, and a man hit the ball to you, there is, say you don't catch it on a full, but there is catches that you can take that hit the ground before you catch it then, but it looks so close that no one cannot tell. But back in those days now, an Englishman would tell the umpire that he hasn't caught the ball. You know what I mean? Because it was fair play. The British got a thing about fair play. This is not happening anymore, but they love fair play. So that means there is occasion then when the bowler bowl and the batsman hit the ball, but not with enough sound for the umpire to detect that he has touched the ball. But the batsman wouldn't wait on the umpire. He would literally put his bat under his arm and walk. You understand? But now when you watch cricket now, you can see that the game is so corrupted, because after a while, I don't know if it was the money, but the batsmen decided that they wasn't going to work. So then you find that they started to bring dishonesty in the game. Now you have to have things like third umpire and cameras and... But I reckon the cricket is just reflecting the decay within society. Well, football wasn't my first love, but you know, Jimmy and Midge again introduced me to football, and then I develop a love of football as well. But I find that the same sickness that I can observe in my first love, cricket, is all over football. Because now the men are not playing for the love of football. It's actually a cheating game. Because I have seen on many occasions where somebody dive for a penalty. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's no penalty, but they dive. And I've seen balls coming off men. They know it's not their throwing and they appeal for it. So they are demonstrating that it's all lie and cheating, and the people support this. No, the spectators are not saying that's wrong and protest about people cheating, and they all agree with cheating as well. So it shows that everyone is into cheating, and fair play is out the window. Football is no longer a game, it's a business. Likewise cricket, you know what I mean? But that is not to take away the honesty of the game. And how would I put it? The English manners that was first instilled in the game. Yeah, surely people have abandoned the English manners, you know what I mean, and they're no longer living up to be men of their word, you know what I mean. But in England, like I say, because I'm a man who like things funny, I don't take things too seriously at the time. They have some fellows, take the weather here in England, it's not always like the West Indies, you know. It's not always hot and blazing. But there is benefit as well. I find benefit in I would rather live in the warm weather, don't get me wrong. But I find benefit in living in the cool weather of England as well. Because these people, it's only because you're going away to the sun for only 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But believe me, if you have the sun here all the time and have flies all over, you wouldn't love it that much, you know what I mean? You'd be glad for winter to come and cool off the flies for a while. You know what I mean? So there is benefit in living in cool weather. And say up here in Manchester, I'm from Manchester in Jamaica, you know. I feel that's why the British named my particular part where I was born Manchester. It got a similar kind of weather pattern to here in Manchester. Always a bit overcast and, wet kind of weather. That's what Manchester is like. And it's the same thing in England. They always say the weather change like the people in England. Funny kind of weather. But if you know how to survive in weather, you can survive in England. Because you learn to change with the weather as it was. And but you have to see the weather funny. Because if you're not, you'll get depressed. Even some English people get depressed by the weather, you know. But there is you need comedy, and you have lots of that in England, like I say. These fellows, like I tell people before, I only like reggae music. You know, if English, I like reggae music. But there is there's a nice song there, Monty Python. Always look on the bright side of life, you know. That song can cheer you up. To no ends. And there's also another set of Englishmen as well. I never get to see them. You probably see them in the movies. And they call them like the upper class. You know, there is like, it's like, how shall I kind of put them now? They are the type of people that say they was watching cricket. Yeah? And they see a nice shot, or somebody make 100 runs, or whatever it is. And he was, they was cheering and said, I say, old chap, well done. Jolly well done. You know what I mean? They are more the tough. You know, they use a lot of, I say, old boy. Jolly well done. Wah, wah. That's what I say about them. These chaps kind of speak through the nose, but I like their style as well when I see it in a comic form. I say, old boy. You know, jolly well done. Yeah, these are they take their style to the extreme. You know what I mean, old boy? Yeah. And they address themselves as one say, things like that. I would have to get an Englishman to imitate those kind of men for you, but I love the way they carry on in their own eccentric, upper class, twitty way. Quite amusing, you know what I mean? There used to be an actor who could do them well. Something Thomas he was called. I remember. But he always play those kind of Englishman, you know what I mean? You have to be in England to actually know what I'm talking about, when you get a feel of England and the eccentricity. Because eccentricity don't only exist in Jamaica, you know. I've got kind of eccentric Englishman here, you know. Yeah, man, all kind of madmen. I have met plenty of the madmen themselves, you know, being a madman myself. Because if you are not mad yourselves, some of these madmen will not talk to you. You understand? Because some people do not like to talk to people. But you see, I am a man now. I love talking to people. So you might find me then, if I get the chance. If I see an Englishman and he was about 9, whatever age, and he's willing to talk, you'll find me quizzing such men. So I get to find out lots of funny story. Take one time, I was sitting in Oldham, and I was talking to this old man. I don't know how old he was. I know he was old though, but we was talking. And he was telling me now about Oldham, like the history of Oldham then, before immigrants come along. So we was talking about this area. I'm living near this area now, you know, Gladwick, and he's telling me that this was a very rich area once. Lots of rich people live here, and, you know, tell me some story. And then he's telling me, this was like he's telling me about in the 30s or 20s, I think it was. There was no black man around then. And he's saying there was one black man was in Wrighton. And people used to come from other towns around to see the black man. And some of them wanted to take him now, like say they wanted to take him to Middleton, or even bring him back to Oldham as an example. But the people in Wrighton objected and says, no, he's ours. So I find stories like that amusing, man. Yes, they're true. I find those stories amusing. And you're not going to get these stories if you don't talk to people. I talk to old women that tell me that during the war, because people's nerves was blah blah, young kids was smoking cigarette. And I know about rationing and all those things. Not through reading books, you know, because you can't read very well, but you can talk well. So if you love talking, you can make some serious inquiries that are live. Not like I said, not history, because these people can't write history, so they never write down anything. You know what I mean? They just know what happened. You know, they was kind of there, so because they can't write anything, but they do remember, so they just tell you the little bit that they remember. You know what I mean? So that's how you kind of get to coming to England. You know, I'll give you an example now. What some people do. They treat coming to England like when you say, how I see English people go on holiday, not only English but German or whatever. They say, okay, they're going to Jamaica. But they don't actually have a look at Jamaica when they go there. They actually go to a very little part they call the beach. No, they don't. And they don't see nowhere. They stay there for the 2 weeks. They lie in the sun and eat up themselves and go away. And then they come back and tell you that they go to Jamaica. But you haven't been to Jamaica. You have to get to know the people and involve yourself in the life. So there's a lot of people who come to England. And they haven't come to England. They're on the beach. As it was. Some of them have been on the beach for 20, 30 years and they die on the beach. You see? But I have decided that when I come on holiday to England, I wasn't coming on the beach. I was going in there to immerse myself in the English life then. Find out some of what they're cooking and eating. Find out what they find funny. Because whenever you find out what the English find funny, you find out that they are very, very funny. Because you know, like I tell you before, I have to repeat it. The English will make a joke out of anything. If you do not like a joke, don't go and work in any factories. Or catch a flight out of England. Because if you don't like a joke, they will make a joke out of the fact that you don't like a joke. That's just the way the English stay. They like clowning around as it goes. But because like I say, I think I'm a certain percent loopy myself. You know what I mean? So I always appreciate because comedy come in all forms in England. That's the way I see it. You have all kind of comedy. Some are just sitcoms, and you know, some are stand-up comedy. You know what I mean? But I like I say, I like a lunatic kind of comedy. Maybe like Mr. Bean and them, man, you know. The Pink Panther. Have you ever watched the Pink Panther with Peter Sellers? That's a very stupid comedy there. That's a very amongst the stand-up comics, them not really. I think this is where America might have a little edge on them. But I don't really like American comedians that much. Richard Pryor is not a bad one, because at least he's silly with a bit of sense. That means there's a bit of seriousness behind what he's saying. And if you like never hear of this fellow, I don't know if he's alive, Bill Hicks. Yeah, he's a very funny man. You know what I mean? But so I like funny people, but those who are funny until they haven't got any sense. maybe like a Spike Milligan, you know what I mean? And like I say, a Blackadder, those idiots from the Monty Python. Have you ever seen The Life of Brian? And all that? And the meaning of life. All those are really idiotic movies that one should relax, you know, and have a good laugh. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, I tell you something then. I was saying that I reckon that people, everyone on the planet should be laughing at least. You should treat laughing like how you eat food. That means if you forget to laugh, you should go away and laugh for 5 minutes. They say you laugh every what would you say every hour you laugh 15 minutes out of every hour? Because when you don't do that, you will fool yourself up a lot of stress. Whenever you see people with their faces looking all tight and everything, and when they have bags under the eye, it is because they have refused to join in the British in their laughing. I'm not saying every British are laughing, because some of them don't laugh, but I'm saying that the spirit of England is to laugh about silly things. Like I told you, no, I find this funny. Like I tell you in the last one about England, trust me, if you don't think it's funny, right, go and have a look. The man is dead now, you know, most of them funny men are dying now, but the man is called Max Wall. Yeah? He did some other comedy, man, but just check. But just have a look at his walk. It's called The Silly Walk. And then this John Cleese, he's got one, the Monty Python. Goose Step, I think it's called. If you go and have a look at those things and see if you don't have to laugh. Even me then, as an example, they have a thing in Blackpool. Have you ever been to Blackpool in England? Yeah. When you go there, they have this laughing man there. I think it's a king. It's only a thing in a thing, but he's just laughing. I dare you to go there and look at him and don't laugh. Because I've tried it. I says to myself, right, I'm going to be deadly serious. There is no way, right, that you are going to make me laugh. Have you ever tried that with yourself? Say to yourself, right, I'm not going to laugh. Yeah? And I've tried it, but each time, trust me, it cracked me up. So you have to laugh in the end. But like I say, laughter is a medicine. And I reckon it's why you find so much depression in the world now. These people are not laughing. And I think personally the art of silly laughing is not in England anymore. You have some little stupid comedian. I don't watch a lot of comedy these days, you know what I mean? But I don't think they're as stupid as those comedians of the past. You know what I mean? Those comedians of the past was real stupid. And I being a sucker for stupidity, like I keep saying. But while I like stupidity, you know, I'm trying to explain here now all the discipline. Because don't forget, you know, this is the learning all these manners and this laughter and everything that I'm telling you about. This is what is going to eventually take me to Firehouse. Understand? So it is, and I can't remember all of the things that happen in England. You know what I mean? Bad things happen as well. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? But I am not going to concentrate on the bad things. You know what I mean? I'm here to explain how I am. Just like when you leave, like I say, when I was speaking about Jamaica, I says I learned some things in the country. And then I speak about moving to Kingston and learning some other things. Yeah? And then I move here to England now to finish the schooling. Because none of my schooling, when I was in Jamaica, I never went to school. So I never really actually received educational teachings. All my teaching seems to be from street people. be they black or white. Well, when I was in Jamaica, there was black. I never knew any white people then. But when I come to England, I come under the guidance of a couple of the white masters, like I tell you, Jimmy and Mitch, and then Sue, and various other people that I don't, because I could tell you, 40 years, you can't recall everything. You think, oh, right. I bet tomorrow I'll think to myself, oh, I should have said something about whoever, you know what I mean? But if anyone is listening, and I have mentioned your name, you know what I mean? It's not the fact that I don't appreciate what has been done for me. If I run whatever it is that you have done for me, trust me. Anyone who do anything for me, I always hold such a thing dear in my heart. And if I don't remember, I know that it's registered there in memory. When we reach on the other side, I will look in there and I will definitely remember that, yes, you was one of the beings that made my life pleasant in England. You know what I mean? So, my life in England, I would say, well, the life to the firehouse is a struggle anyway. So I'm not going to tell you that, oh yes, my life in England has been a bed of roses. It is more like a bed of thorns. But you have to be in a bed of thorns to learn things. You understand? Ain't good just lying down in a comfortable bed. You know, you ever hear that song that Marley sing, that I'm a rebel, soul rebel? Well, that's what I am. I am a soul rebel, capturer, soul adventurer. So I have never been a soul rebel is not under the control of anybody. Because otherwise you couldn't be a rebel. See what I mean? So I am not under the control of black people and white people and yellow people and brown people. I am not under the control of a group of Rastas. I don't work for anyone. I am my own spokesman and I am my own bad man. When I say that I'm a bad man, I have to explain myself. Because somebody must say, why does this man keep saying he's a bad man? I do not mean that I am a bad man physically going to do anybody any harm. Like go and fight with them. Of course, if anybody should try to do me anything physically, I will defend myself to the best of my ability. But I am not going to threaten anybody out there and fight them. But when it comes to a spiritual thing now, I am a bad man. I will kill people. That's what I say. When I say I will kill people, that means I will tell you the words of truth. Because through all these experiences then that I'm telling you, in England and Jamaica, because by the time I was 27 then in England, now I was now awake. I wasn't awake in Jamaica, and for the first 12 years in England, I wasn't awake. I was literally dead. You know what I mean? But those experiences in England and Jamaica helped to wake me up when I was 27. So ever since that 27, then I have been like you see me here, you know what I mean? I've been telling people, no one believes, because they say, oh, but I don't want anyone to believe anyway. And I'm not, because I'm not looking for fans. I am not a pop star, man. You know what I mean? I don't want to be any pop star. I am not, well, let me put it this way. I'll tell you something about the firehouse. The firehouse master. Not me, just the firehouse master. In the firehouse, there is no wisdom. So, I am not a wise man. Wise men, I explain it to you, it's another one of God paradox. Wise men exist in the mind. That's where you can be wise. You can be wise and know God, the wisdom of God from within your mind. Understand? But in the firehouse, there is no wisdom. There's just what is. What is wise. You see, like how I'm looking at my walking stick. Would you call that wise? You see, if I look outside or if I look at you, what would be wise about looking at something or knowing something? There's nothing wise about me seeing the cup or the can on the table. So that's how we see things in the firehouse. When you see something, there's nothing wise about seeing it, is there? Well, I don't call them kind of things wise. Wiseness get out your head. Alright, in the firehouse then, as an example, let's put it away how I reckon every human being could understand it. Right? This thing that they call God, yeah? Let's not call it God, because let's give it a number of names. Because every time some people object to the name God, because they immediately think about a man. Let's call it this energy, yeah? I'm trying to tell you now. This energy, or this knowing, this light, whatever name you put on it, yeah? But whatever name you want to give the intelligence then, that will suit you, you put on it, yeah? But let's just say now that this thing was the only thing that know what is wise, or it was the only thing that is wise or know what's right. Let's say God then, coming back to the word, you can say God is the only one that is wise. Yeah? Because that's where wisdom comes from. So if God is the only one that is wise, how can any man be wise? That's how we see things in firehouse. So in firehouse, we don't see anybody as wise. We don't see God as wise. Why would a man be wise? So if anything, we say brethren. When I say brethren, I mean friend, for those who are listening in English. So if anything, we say brethren. If you want to be wise, or if you want to know wise, not you want to be wise. If you want to know wise, log on. Because there's only one wise in it. So we don't, this is what I say in Firehouse. There is no such thing like how you would hear people say, spiritual masters and they make stars out of people or nothing. In Firehouse, you just, because this is the last house, it's the house of 9. When you reach 9, hey, write it on a piece of paper and you see what I mean. And count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When you reach there, the 1 have to return to make 10. You see what I mean? So it's the return of the 1. When we are in Firehouse, we don't see nothing. You cannot be wise. So the Firehouse master then, as an example, we have come to destroy wise men, or what they call wise men. Or even the Firehouse master is destroying himself. Because I'm not going to say I'm wise, or any master of nothing. I am here to destroy myself as well, to reveal the light of the one who is wise. You know what I mean? Because you see a wise man now. This is how you have to look at it. You think a wise man now can teach everybody at the same time? He can't. He's just in, like me, I'm just in England. You understand? Wise is everywhere. So why would I claim to be wise when I'm not the wise one? No, that's to me, in my own form of, because I'm a little bit crazy and stupid, like I said. That is the way that I reason to myself. You know what I mean? Because I work with a lot of disciples, like I tell you. No one ever see them because they are in the invisible. You know what I mean? One of them is called good advice. Yes, so good advice will say, listen man, how can you be thinking that you are wise? Can't you see it's the one? So I say, yeah. You know, the other day when I was mentioning my disciples them, I forgot to mention humbleness, Don't ever, because humbleness now. Humbleness, well, I don't even know to this. I can't find the lyrics to properly describe humbleness. You know what I mean? But everyone should have humbleness. Because there was a time when I was a bit puffed up in myself and I thought, oh yeah, I think I'm better than some of those human beings. And it was humbleness who come and whisper in my ears that, How can you be better than those human beings? This is when I first got that lyrics about shit. Kind of crude still, but humbly say, listen, you are full of shit like everybody else. Your shit don't smell any better. And I say, you know what, it's true. So it was humbleness that actually, it's as if I was on a ladder and it took me down and put me back on the ground. You know what I mean? And ever since that, you know, I've always known that the best thing if you want is to befriend, especially if you decide that you would like to make the journey to Firehouse. And I did. You know what I mean? But Firehouse is a funny place, you know. You remember that I tell you that you can get wise in the mind, but in Firehouse there is no wisdom. So I reckon to myself, even though it sounds arrogant, but the Firehouse can't teach anything arrogant. That all human beings are resided in their minds. You understand? But because I am a fire lion, and like I tell you, I will tell you about it in the next reasoning. But what I did do, I'm going to come with a different reason. But in that reason, how I escaped from the mind was by ability, you know, like when you go to the moon. Like say you wanted to go to the sun, you set up a base on the moon, yeah? And then you construct a rocket and shut off to the sun. So what I did now, to reach Firehouse, because it's a hot place. Firehouse is very hot, you know. I had to build a base in the mine. As a land, because that's where you're going to launch from. You know what I mean? It would be hard for your engineers then. You engineers, it'd be hard for you to develop a rocket. You know what I mean? It's a special rocket you need down there, you know? And you build your rocket down and you shoot out from within the mine to reach Firehouse. So, if you think I'm talking any mystery or any puzzle here now, Firehouse is where the spirit is. You know where conscience is then. It's not over in the field of the mind. The mind is a different kettle of fish. That's where you have positive and negative. You know what I mean? Firehouse is over in the land of conscience. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, like I tell you, I will be coming back to explain more about another way that you could reach Firehouse through water. I think I will talk about that next. This fella they call the water bearer. I'll be spinning a tale about him. You know what I mean? But my friend has just signaled here now that we are on a countdown, yeah, and we haven't got long to go. So I am going to wind down my England experience by appealing to those in England who are my friends or even my enemies. I don't care. That this is the time for you to wake up. You know what I mean? Don't let the elite be leading you astray. And poor people of England, don't be voting for these idiots. You know, these are rich people. They mean you know good. That's why you do. Yeah, and it's not only here in England. Don't be watching BBC News and all those news. Watch a bit of RTL if you can, you know. Watch some Edge TV and up on Channel 200 and the Freeview if you have it, and Showcase TV, Paragon Shift, so that you can get. There you will hear your own Englishman telling you that you've been led by devils. You know what I mean? You know about David Icke and those people. You know what I mean? Not that they are. You should follow these people to the fullest. Because I'm not into this shape-shifting business. You know what I mean? And people talking about Enki and some people put we here and, you know, we are their children. In the Firehouse, you know, is only the one. We don't deal with any counselor, high council, you know what I mean, of beings looking over. There is nobody over I and I. There is no one. God never put devil, not evil himself. So I don't know why some people are here teaching people about, you know, our guardian angel up above, up and their guardian, and they are protecting, and it was them who put us here as No one put us here more than the will of the one. Because the will of the one is what runs the universe. So I'm going to fire out now on that fire. And I'm going to reach you on the next reasoning, where I will be showing you another way to reach Firehouse and introduce you to the water bearer. You know? Yes. So right now I'm going to tune out and fire out and see you on the next reel from the firehouse. See?